This is a phone we've been dreaming about for a long time, but the reality of it.
Crazy. I love this stuff. I love this stuff. This is crazy.
He's gonna. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here is iPhone 10. Now, unlocking it is as easy as looking at it and swiping up. And, you know, let's try that again.
Doesn't look that easy.
Ho, ho, ho. Let's go to backup here.
What's going on? Brian Tong here, and welcome to the Apple Byte for everything good and bad inside the world of Apple. You know what it is? It's our reactions to Apple's iPhone X. iPhone 10 event. Like, you know you've done the same thing. I get why they're calling it the 10, but X is so much better. In fact, this guy, JS on Twitter, explained it for me. X is 10 in Roman numbers. That's why it's called iPhone X. X for 10. Wow, I had no idea. Now, there's so much to talk about, so hold on to your butts. We'll start small and then build up to the iPhone 10. See, I said it right. Now, first up, the Apple Watch Series 3 and all its LTE glory. It's one of the winners of the show just because they finally brought LTE to the table to make calls without your phone. It will cost an extra $10 a month to add it to your current data plan. AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile have confirmed that pricing here in the US. Apple said the Series 3 has an all-day battery life of 18 hours on the Series 3 LTE model. That 18-hour number includes 4 hours of an LTE connection and 14 hours of a connection to an iPhone over Bluetooth. But if you think you're going to be making calls with it throughout the day, like over LTE, think again. You'll get 1 hour of talk time. 60 minutos. So this won't be your primary calling device. And if you're taking it out for a workout, you'll get 10 hours without any connectivity, 5 hours with just GPS, and 4 hours with GPS and LTE. Now, pre-orders are this Friday the 15th. I'll be there in my pajamas, and the new Series 3 ships out on the 22nd. Okay, the Apple TV 4K was a solid upgrade, but it wasn't a standout for me. 4K, HDR support, and a new black background theme, they just did what they had to do. But did you notice how Eddie Q came on stage? Like, did he just bless up after he splashed a 3 from downtown?
Be here tonight.
Way up, I feel blessed. Right back at you, Eddie. Now, the new Live Sports Edition is cool, but I got to give props to Apple for striking a deal with movie studios to price 4K movies at the same $19.99 as new releases, plus upgrading my current purchases to 4K as well. That's a good Apple. Yeah! Like, I really didn't know if they could get it done. Now, there's a new updated Siri remote that removes a physical button for a touch button with a white circle around it to make it more prominent, but it just looks out of place. Like, who designed that? Why? And the new Apple TV 4K with the new remote is going to be $179, pre-order on the 15th, and available on the 22nd. All right, let's talk phones. Like, iPhone 10 is going to be a beast. For the record, I will be getting one if I get through that pre-order, but you might be captivated by its OLED screen. I thought the most impressive thing about this phone are all the chips and custom silicon that are packed inside, starting with its heart, the A11 Bionic. Like, really, Apple, you had to add Bionic to that? Now, that screen looks great, but Apple tends to get ahead of themselves, going with the name Super Retina display. Like, here's what Phil had to say about it.
It is 458 pixels per inch. Now, this is the highest resolution and pixel density ever in an iPhone. The Super Retina display uses OLED technology. This is the first OLED display great enough to be in an iPhone.
Say what, Phil? Like, really, the first OLED display great enough to be in an iPhone? Because the last time I checked, the Galaxy S8 has an OLED screen with 570 pixels per inch density. The S8 Plus has a 529, and the Note 8 is at 521. And guess who produces and supplies your OLED screens for you? Samsung. Okay, but how can any of you ignore the notch? Like, I know the Kool-Aid is good at an Apple event, but that notch looks horrible. Like, I was hoping the leaks were a preview and Apple would just smooth it out and take advantage of the deep blacks of the OLED screen to make a consistent bar at the top. But nope, you get the notch on the home screen. When you're looking at photos, the notch. And how about videos? The notch. And some of you might say, it's just a notch. Who cares? But Steve Jobs and Apple showed us what great design and elegance in a gadget was all about. You know what? I'm sorry, but that's notch my iPhone. And you know, we're all just asking for rounded corners to watch our videos as well, just the way they were intended to be viewed. Like this short clip from the Brody, Jonathan Morrison, shows that you can get black bars on both sides, but you'll have to double tap. Like, who wants to do that extra step just to watch video without the notch? Come on, it's a no-brainer, and that's a bad Apple. Apple, all you had to do was put a bar across the top, and maybe you'll do that eventually. Maybe developers will do that for their own apps, or we'll just have to wait for it on the next iPhone. You know what? I'm calling it right now. It will be the world's most interesting phone, the iPhone 2X. All right, Face ID still remains to be seen how good it's going to be day to day. The technology is pretty amazing. This ain't your mama's iris scanning, and it's so much more.
When you look at your phone, it'll shoot thousands of lasers straight into your pores. Then it sucks out your soul, much like a Dementor.
Okay, that's not how it does it, but you have to check out that iPhone X parody from Jax Films. It's gold, unlike the third iPhone X color we did not get. Now the tech will get faster, but there's no way it's faster to hold it up around your face and then swipe up compared to the current Touch ID speed right now. Is it more accurate? Sure, the chance of someone else's face unlocking your phone is 1 in a million, compared to Touch ID's 1 in 50,000. But it's still going to be 100% accurate when someone else holds it up to your face. So you better clear up your DMs and messages on the cloud before you get that iPhone X. The Verge showed that Face ID also won't work when your eyes are closed in this clip at the event, but once you open them, it will unlock. So you know what, you might be okay while you're sleeping. So how does it all do this? Well, that's courtesy of their A11 Bionic Neural Engine. Seriously, Apple, who is naming these things these days? That's terrible. And don't get me started on the wireless pad named AirPower. Like, it doesn't even charge your devices over the air. And it looks like a maxi pad. You know what? That's a bad Apple. All right, now, just to be clear, that epic fail on stage during the keynote, it wasn't because Face ID failed. It actually prompted Craig with a message, your passcode is required to enable Face ID. That's the same prompt you get after your phone is restarted or after hours have passed without authenticating it through the lock screen. So Face ID still works, just it's not as fast as Touch ID. And also, there's this.
The kitty cat is so expressive and ferocious. It's a happy puppy. Check out the physics in the ears.
Take me to your leader. Wait a minute, Craig. I am your leader.
Plus his impression of the Ultimate Warrior. Yeah, he must be a fan of the show. Now, animojis are fun. I'm not gonna lie about that, but I also think it's kind of idiotic that out of every feature, they spent the most time on animojis that are exclusive to the iPhone X. Like, they didn't talk about Bluetooth 5.0 or USB-C quick charging as much as they did animojis. And we know there will be people who get the $1,000 iPhone X just so they can use animojis, like my buddy, Mike Wang. So really, is it worth it to get the iPhone X that starts at $999 with its OLED screen, Face ID and animojis, or getting the 8 Plus that still has Touch ID? It still has almost all the same amazing rear camera features that the 10 does. So here, let's get some perspective. Let's break the pricing of an iPhone X in the US down, and it will be a lot more in other countries. So the starting iPhone X with 64 gigs of storage is $999. If you want Apple Care coverage, and I always do, it's bumped up for the 10 and is now $199. If you want to take advantage of its USB-C fast charging, the cheapest Apple USB-C power adapter is $49, and the shorter 1-meter USB-C to Lightning cable is $25. So before tax, if you want all the bells and whistles for the entry-level iPhone X, you're looking at $1,272. That's almost $1,400 after tax. And you know what? It's time to make a trip to Portland. They don't got tax there. And this is just the pricing in the US. Now, I don't judge how anyone spends their money. If it's worth it to you, it's worth it to you. Our phones are the center of our digital life, even more than our computers. But after all this, the iPhone 8 will still most likely be the top seller of this batch, and Apple will be just fine with that because they're still going to be selling a whole bunch of phones. So start saving up for the 10. Pre-orders are on October the 27th, and they start shipping on November the 3rd. The 8 and 8 Plus pre-orders are this Friday the 15th and available on the 22nd. All right, that's going to do it for this week's show. It was a beefy one. Email us at theapplebyte@cnet.com or tweet me at Brian Tong. We'd love to hear what you thought about the Apple event. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you all next time for another Bite of the Apple.
audition your favorites, and there's some really great ones, like the kitty cat, so
Kitty cat.
expressive, ferocious. The happy puppy. Check out the physics of the ears.
Oh, this is fun.
The pig.
I'm a piggy.
We've got a chicken. And the unicorn, mythical creature, favorite of the startup. Yes.